The importance of information and communication technology cannot be underestimated for the growth of economies such as Botswana. In the last decade, Botswana's ICT infrastructure has had steady growth. ICT expenditure in Botswana is approaching $100 million, and a quarter of that comes from the government sector. ICT-based solutions are now central to the growth of sectors such as manufacturing, mining, banking and finance, and tourism. Good evening. My name is Penyo Moroka, and this is Doing Business in Botswana. A well-established ICT infrastructure can boost Botswana's economic growth, leading to job creation, efficiencies in service delivery, and investment opportunities.
Once we talk about globally competitiveness and global connectivity, we would have to talk about world-class services, telecommunication services. I would place ICT or telecommunications, in my view, as a number one enabler, especially when you're talking about investors, international trade, doing business worldwide, because most of the investors are looking for connectivity, for import, for export, automated service, public services, banking services. I think this is what is very, very important. What I like about what is happening now is certainly the government has realized the importance of placing ICT infrastructure, telecommunications infrastructure, amongst the priorities for enabling efficiencies and facilitating economic growth.
Botswana has erected a 7,000-kilometer fiber network that connects all the major towns and cities across the country. The country has also invested in underwater cable systems which provide access and linkages with other continents.
We do have ownership in some undersea cable systems, and those undersea cable systems are connecting us with the world, with Europe, Asia, America, and this is what we are currently operating. But with the national one and even the international one, we are able to connect directly with high-speed connectivity to all our neighbors in SADC and even the rest of Africa and the world.
We have the West Africa cable system, which is along the West African coastline, all the way from Cape Town to Europe. And then we have another one which goes from Durban, South Africa, all the way to Djibouti in East Africa, which is called EASY, East Africa Submarine System cable. And we then have got rights into those cable systems. So we've got pipes through which, in terms of data pipes through which we then carry our traffic to the rest of the world. And to access these cables, we go through, obviously, our neighbors in Namibia as well as South Africa, using the telecom service providers in those countries. And this is where the issue of strategic partnerships really comes in. We had to go into long-term partnership with these two organizations, these two companies in those countries, for us to have access to our capacity, the undersea capacities.
One of the biggest challenges facing Botswana has been the high costs of internet connectivity. However, these are coming down as infrastructure investments are made. The cost of internet access has dropped significantly, and the country can now compete regionally.
Up until 2012, we've been the most expensive country in terms of internet services for residential and corporates. We've managed to reduce the costs of input costs for operating the infrastructure. And that has drastically helped because we've managed to reduce those costs in the last 8 months by up to 90%. And our view is in the next probably 12 months or so, we will see the retail service providers that we are providing services reducing as well.
For 1 meg is what we used to pay for huge dedicated lease lines. It shows that now we've got more capacity to do a whole lot. Internet should be like water, it's a service to the people because there's a whole lot more we can do. We want to see Botswana at that point where anybody and everybody can use or have access to internet. And if we get that point, and at the rate we are going, hopefully the more subsidies, the more government invests on the infrastructure, we're going to see, more bandwidth available for us. So from where we were a few years ago to where we are now, it's a huge leap. And from a business point, we are happy.
In Botswana, information communication technology is seen as a facilitator for economic diversification and for attracting foreign and direct investment. If the country can deploy high-speed internet networks, improve access networks and ensure good service delivery, this will go a long way in attracting investors into the country.
Obviously, when somebody locates here as a hubbing office or location, you need to have to be connected 24/7 to the other offices or firms located in different areas. So connectivity is very, very key, and the speed, the quality, and issues of affordability are very, very key. I think the kind of multinational organizations that we are seeing, like the DTC, the buyers of those diamonds would want to compare the diamonds that they are buying here with the others in the other locations. So that is very, very key in terms of the quality of the internet and affordability.
ICT services are a direct input into a country's competitiveness. ICT is a significant part of the criteria used to assess a country.
We see ourselves strategically positioned, I think, by nature. The fact that the country, we are, right in the middle of our neighbors and landlocked, which is an advantage for us. So basically then we provide transit connectivity, between the countries. So if, for example, South Africa wants to cross over to Zambia or Zimbabwe crossing over to Namibia, we see ourselves as the right, platform, at the right point to be able to provide those transit connectivity. And what we have also done is to establish strategic partnerships with the operators in those countries, long-term partnerships, which we leverage on, in terms of, getting those long-term agreements. And it puts us in a better position, really, as a strategic partner for those countries.
A reliable and efficient ICT and telecommunications infrastructure is also essential to how businesses are run and how they operate. Businesses are fast realizing that ICT can impact the way they communicate, operate, and grow. Few ICT companies in Botswana supply full enterprise solutions to their clients, and those that do are realizing the benefits.
Ultimately, the higher tiers of IT is where you actually come to a client, listen to their problems, build solutions, so sort of architecture a solution, and provide a solution from a hardware, the software, or the applications that are going to happen. So that's more enterprise, because you are not only serving one person, you are looking at a solution for a company. We've done implementation of the government infrastructure project, which included core infrastructure around system center, Active Directory for 35,000 people. That's an enterprise solution. So it means in terms of the competencies that you need to actually get that job done, you have to have skilled people and support the environment. And it's a very mission critical job. Imagine if you fail delivering a solution like that, the whole government doesn't have email. So that's sort of enterprise solutions. So you are not just coming to sell a box, you're actually coming to deploy a service, maintain, train people to do it.
Attracting the required specialized skills is a major challenge for the ICT sector. Companies like Moonstone have devised programs that try to enhance the local skills base through training graduate students.
As a country, we're training a lot of graduates around ICT, but the gap between getting a job and actually being productive or actually delivering sort of, let's say, a billable service or actually providing a service to a client is different. And that's the gap we try and address. So we go out, participate in youth workshops where we encourage or we mentor skills. We offer training, graduate training schemes. That on its own, we have now become a training ground for parastatals or for other bigger institutions. By contributing to experienced, skilled workforce, putting it back into the marketplace is the biggest thing, because that's a very costly exercise for medium to small enterprises. So that's one of the key things. And from an innovation point, I think continuously advocating for new applications, new services, continuously demonstrating new technologies. It sort of highlights the need of where we should go as a country.
With a population of just over 2 million people, one would think that investment opportunities within the ICT sector are limited. But opportunities exist, and as the country continues to improve its infrastructure, these will continue to increase.
Certainly, there's still room for growth around those areas where it's more infrastructure than more application services to the people. And I see a lot of opportunities around that. But with, let's say, Innovation Hub, continuously marketing the country as a destination to fill that gap. Hopefully we'll see activity around that in terms of international or multinationals coming in to invest and looking at those areas as areas of growth, because that's the sort of the core wheels to close the value chain. So you have got good infrastructure, good applications, and extended services to the people, because without the consumers, then you might have the best services, but how do you invest when you can't reach the people?
Strategic investments in the ICT sector can be good for Botswana because the country needs innovations that are relevant, cost-effective, and enable economic growth.
If you look at where we started and where we are now, we continuously are trying to drive innovation or trying to continuously introduce new products. Botswana has been ranked 6th now in Africa 2011 report by World Economic Forum in terms of progression in terms of ICT services. And with the new initiatives now around e-government, I see Botswana going further up the levels in terms of readiness to continuously service.
Botswana is charting its own course and building an infrastructure that not only serves it, but one that benefits the region as a whole.
Our location, I think, places us very well in terms of, one, leveraging on the fiber and the connectivity in the region to be a regional service provider, of course riding on the infrastructure that we currently managing and operating.
Botswana is looking at diversifying its economy, and the National Information and Communications Technology Policy provides Botswana with a clear and compelling roadmap that will drive social, economic, cultural, and political transformation through the effective use of information and communications technology. From myself, Penyo Moroka, good evening, and join me again next week.